Hello friends, it is DeminixHD here, and I will be doing my first ever tutorial on Cinema 4D. This tutorial will be covering how I like to make my materials, mainly the ones that you see in front of you right now, those metallic ball looking things, and I will be showing you how to export the images you make in Cinema 4D as PNG files for Photoshop or other programs you want. Now, what we're going to get started here is we're going to go ahead and delete all of these materials down here. I'm going to take out all of these. Now, we just have these blank balls here. They have nothing on them. They're looking very naked. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new material by double-clicking down here in the materials bar. Okay, so you double-click on that, and it opens up the material editor. Now, what you're gonna want to do is in color. There's a lot of buttons here. Don't worry about them yet. We're only going to be messing with about 2 or 3 of them. So in color, you're going to come over here to where it says texture, and you're going to click this little arrow to the right of it. When you get there, go down to where it says effects and click Loomis. Now once you get here, you get this circular gradient looking thing. We don't want that, so we're gonna come in here. Now I like doing this because it just gives me a better idea of what it's gonna look like in the end. First you go to anisotropy or whatever. Anisotropy. Anyway, click that. Then you go down here to where it says active, and you click active, check mark that, and it should okay, no, I don't want to change the color scheme. Then you go ahead and it's automatically on shrink wrap. Unless you're working with other stuff other than what I'm doing here, you can play around with that later on, but I'm just going to stick with shrink wrap. So once you get here, you come over to shader. Shader will be the main color. You see all this gray in here, that is what that color will be. We're going to go ahead and make that black. Now you see how that main color has changed and everything is black, and it looks like it has kind of a white reflection right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and keep this white. It is what specular 1 is. That is the eye of the color right there, the middle of it. And I'm going to keep that white because for a black and white texture, for just a black metallic texture, it looks the best. Now specular 2, I always find the default is a little bit too dark for the reflection, so I'm going to go ahead and make that about, I don't know, about 1/4 of the way from the top of the left side of the color picker. So what I'm going to call it is the color picker because it says right there. Now as you can see, the little area around that has gotten brighter, and I think that that looks a lot better for the metallic materials we're making. Now specular 3 is this kind of cloudy looking area around that. Now I'm just going to make that about halfway, and that's a little bit too bright. Make it about 1/3 of the way from the bottom, and I think that looks pretty good. So after you get that done, you're going to come down to where it says reflection, click this box. Now as you can see, the color has completely disappeared, and all we can see is the reflection of what looks like a beautiful park with the sun out and everything. Here in Texas it would probably be about 120 degrees outside, maybe a little bit of exaggeration. Now first thing you're going to do is you're going to click additive. You're going to check mark that box. Now you can start seeing a little bit of where our color that we just made came in, but you can't really see it at all. Now for reflections, I tend to go Fresnel, which I think looks the best and most realistic for things that aren't mirrors and everything. Mirrors, you don't really want much of a texture on that. Click Fresnel, and what it does is it makes the middle of it to where you're looking at it directly. It makes it less reflective than the rest, and it's a gradient from there. Now on brightness, you're going to go all the way to 0. That doesn't change that at all, but we're going to go over here. I find that 100% reflectivity, even with Fresnel, is a little bit too much, and it just might look a little unnatural, and you'll lose a lot of the color. Bring that down to 70. Now Sometimes I like to come in here and use diffusion, and you click effect reflection, and from there I can go ahead and pick Fresnel, brightness 0, and again I'm gonna do, actually, you know, I'm not even gonna do diffusion right now. It makes it a lot easier. Specular color. The specular color will come in when you have a colored material and you want the reflective light. You see, when I do that, the reflection in the middle, the bright spot, comes and goes away. Now what specular color does is it changes the color of that to a different hue or whatever, but since I only have black and white right now, I'm not going to bother with that. Now that is our first material, our black material. So we're going to come in here, go ahead and put it on that, Control R, and see how that looks. Now that looks pretty good. So we're going to see what other colors we can mess around with. I'm going to I'm going to copy that and make a new texture of this. How did that happen? Sky got copied. Alright, so we're going to double click this, come into the material editor. Also, something I found out that was really neat, I know I could have looked in the tutorials that are up here that they give you, but I was lazy and so I didn't really care. And then finally I read them and I found out you could do this. You could even make this image like a square, cube, rounded cube, but I think that the sphere, or actually I like the knot a lot. It looks really cool. So anyway, since we're using spheres, let's keep it a sphere. If you want to change the color to something like you saw at the beginning, where it looks green or something like that, let's just make a green one real quick. Now in the shader, in the color picker, you're gonna have to find your base color. Now you're gonna look at these degrees right here, and you want to keep all these speculars in the shader in the same degree. Otherwise, it'll look really awkward or really crazy. If you find some crazy ones, you should tell me about them, and I might implement them in certain parts. But I like to pick a dark color. For green, I like to pick around 120 degrees. Keep it there, and you can see how the color around it has become a very, very dark green. When you get here, it's already automatically highlighted right there, and you go ahead and type in 120. And don't even press enter because that closes the whole thing. Just click on here and you can go ahead and pick your specular color. Now again, for specular 1, I usually choose the highest it can go for that color, and so I'm in the top right corner of the color picker and I'm going to click OK. Now that makes that middle one a green color and it looks like it's reflecting just green. Alright, now go ahead and type in 120, click on the color picker, go find your specular 2 color. I'll put it again around 1/4 of the way from the top. That makes the second ring around the middle and makes it a bit darker. For specular 3, I'm typing in 120 and going about halfway. Because the shader is it wasn't at black, so it wasn't at the very bottom, so specular 3 can be a bit higher up. It all depends on your personal preference. Now I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this onto one of these and see how that looks. And I like the look of that, so I'm going to keep it, and for everything else just kind of do the same thing. And so yeah, that's how I make my metallic materials. So after that, if you want something to look as a say I wanted this into a Photoshop. Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep that sky in there. But if you want something without a background, so it'll just be that one object, the 2D picture of that object, you're going to come over to here, pick your background or sky if you have one. Right click on it, go to Cinema 4D tags. After that, you go to compositing, and it'll pop up this down here, and that little symbol will be right there. If you don't want it to be seen by the cameras, or you don't want to have a background in your picture, but you do want to have a reflection on your objects, you uncheck Seen by Camera. And you see the background is gone, but it still has the reflection of it. After that, you come up here and you see the take one or whatever it's called, the movie thing with the box behind it, the far right one of the render buttons. Click the far right one. It'll come up with render settings. It's got general, output, save, multipass, anti-aliasing, and options. For output, you can put whatever width and height you want. If you're making a cinematic for YouTube, I suggest 1280 by 720, because that is the maximum quality and dimensions for a YouTube video. Now, the TIFF, PSD layers, or whatever, I guess you can do that too, but I prefer coming down here in the format and clicking PNG and having alpha channel. So you have alpha channel selected, and that'll make it so just these spheres will be able to show up. It'll have all the reflection and everything. You click that, and you can go ahead and exit out of that. And then you click the middle render button, and it'll render out this picture, and you can click File, Save As, put it wherever you want, and you can use that image for basically anything you want. Alright, and that's going to conclude our tutorial today, and I will be coming back how to make something I like to call the Spiral of Death, and how to put these materials in it correctly where it adds a really, really cool effect. Alright, thanks guys.